the past, or if they're gonna go for something more traditional like the Catherine that we have been seeing. It's very interesting to see that the tier 1 captain heroes right now seem to be Lyra, Arden, and Catherine.
Certainly do. Catherine going to be locked on in, and this is something that we often see alongside that Kestrel, just to deny that kind of reflected damage like you were talking about over in the EU Vainglory 8. Zoro, and we'll see what Rogue are wanting to do to counter that. They've already decided they're going for a Saw and a Petal.
This is going to be one of those compositions where they try and just put so much pressure on the lane. There is the slight chance that this ends up actually being a CP Saw in the jungle. It's something that we saw a few seasons ago that teams were running a lot, and the only reason that this is even a potential thought is because of the fact that we've seen so much weapon petal in North America, but I feel like it is most likely the weapon Saw with a crystal petal in the jungle and an alpha pick for Tribe. I love this pick for T-Tigers.
That's an alpha coming out, a CP alpha that's gonna scale so well into the team fights, but you gotta ask, how are they gonna try to hold off the early game here versus Rogue? I mean, alpha coming up to the lane, using her prime directive to try and get onto the Saw could help them push away the pressure that's gonna be coming from the season composition, but Saw is so strong, especially if Petal goes up. I'm worrying a little bit for Tribe.
Not only that, but if Petal goes in with the prime directive, she can't get away from Saw then just mowing down her with the spun up stacks, or even just using the roadie run if he needs to get himself out of a bad situation. So this is the early game is definitely going to be a concern, but if they can get past the early game, this alpha is going to put in work.
I actually feel like when you talk about that alpha versus Saw matchup, one of the micro mechanics that I want everyone at home to keep your eyes on is going to be how well they position to make sure the roadie run goes the wrong way. If he uses that roadie run as she goes in, if Alpha can position behind Saw, he'll actually jump into the enemy team. So there's potential mechanical outplays there. How are we feeling this early game is going to go very, very quickly?
I mean, very quickly, probably Rogue going to try to put a lot of pressure, especially because of the Lyra sustain.
Okay, so it needs to be Rogue on the front foot. Let us know what you think at home. Hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know who you think the favorite is coming into this series. It's time to get on into this one, so it's time to pass it once again over to to Jaws and the Source.
Thank you very much, Munch. Almost forgot us there, but we're all good. Game number 1, Tribe versus Rogue, and we've got the Wizard on the field. We got Sibs, and he's on that Petal.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how much value Rogue can get out of the Saw. We don't get to see Saw that often, either due to bans or just due to teams not really feeling comfortable playing him. We've just seen so much of the Ozo. We've seen so much of, well, at least when Blackfeather is able to get through the draft. So I want to see what Hammy can do on the Saw and how much really lane pressure they get out of this, because there's just so much potential to take down that first turret. They've got a great set of ranged heroes, and they can set up sieges very, very quickly.
Quickly and easily, because Sibs, very early game jungler on this Petal, although saying that, that's a massive prime directive on 3 members of Rogue, taking an awful lot of damage. That Treant almost rooting up DNZO, but sticking in that front line, trying to escort his alpha away, has to pop the flask in order to get the small bit of shielding to survive. Hammy just spins up, T-Tiger's going back in, another prime directive, and a core charge to finish him off. Hammy going fairly low as well, but Tribe take first blood.
Yeah, and that's a hell of a way to open things up. They are able to do so much damage so quickly, and I'm surprised that all of the members from the side of Rogue were so close together when T-Tiger's winning, because he got full value on all of his damage.
Like, the 2 in a row prime directives hit multiple people. Like, that's exactly not what you want to do, but they needed to group up in order to sit on that sigil, and T-Tiger said, yep, that's mine, thank you very much. Hammy at least is going to get a push on this turret. It's going to use that minion candy as well, just to make sure DNZO has had a bit of a tougher time, although that sigil will heal Hammy up, and DNZO taking most of his life bar away. In fact, Hammy using that ready run to get away for the time being. DNZO going fairly low. He's going to be able to sustain underneath this turret, but he's going to have to be careful next time he comes up against a fully spun up Hammy.
Yeah, but DNZO did a good job in that trade back. Yes, he lost most of his health bar, but he landed multiple glimmer shots through and got off a lot of damage very, very quickly. You're gonna have to be worried as Hammy about the fact that you are a Saw. You're pretty much immobile. You're a stationary turret. And just how on point it looks like the side of Tribe is T-Tiger's damage and DNZO's aim. Yes, you can expect that from those players, but to have that come out in the very first game of the day to really start to kind of punish the side of Rogue, they have to be careful about when they set up this very solid siege for them, and they don't have great engagement tools. Their composition doesn't lend well to setting up a hard fight. They need to put together the siege or catch the members of Tribe in a rotation where they're able to get off a lot of range damage. Eventually they'll have the Arcane Passage, but that really can't be your answer.
We all know the old adage of Saw push turret, but Saw basically is a turret in that situation. With Dienzio taking about half his life bar away, good bright bulwark actually onto T-Tigers will stop him using that prime directive to go in, but will find Evil nonetheless. Evil in a lot of trouble, does get Merciless Pursuited as well. Dienzio trying to find those glimmer shots, but grouping up in amongst those minions, made sure he didn't take the brunt of that damage. Sib's now rotating from the jungle. He's a level behind T-Tigers, mind you, but they're still going to be able to get a vast majority of this damage down to this turret early in the game, like you were mentioning before.
Yeah, and Rogue basically set up what is essentially an artillery wall. In that last engagement, we saw T-Tigers try to get in there, try to do some significant damage, and they almost brought down Evil, but Hammy was able to sit there and dish out damage, and that's what the side of Rogue wants. They do manage to get the turret, so step one of their composition has worked out. Step one accomplished. Step two is how do they do things once it's a little bit more difficult to set things up on the secondary turret. There are more alleyways, more pathways for the side of Tribe to be able to flank onto Hammy, and eventually T-Tigers is going to hit that aftershock, and then the real damage is going to start to come in from the CP Alpha. At that point, Rogue need to be very careful about how much they group, because usually when you want to set up siege, you want to have people reasonably close together. You want people grouped up to be able to get value out of the Imperial Sigil. You do that, and T-Tigers are going to get off prime directive after prime directive like we saw earlier.
Yeah, and he does that level 6 as well. That Termination Protocol is online. The Evol's going to have to be rather sparse with those bright bulwarks for the time being to make sure T-Tigers can't go in. Speaking of go in, and to get a prime directive on too. He's taking a whole buttload of damage. Does manage to get underneath the turret in time though. Max Green using that Storm Shield to reflect a little bit of it. He's going to start spinning up, and T-Tigers is slowed down, but Sibs just cannot find the damage in. In fact, he tries to go for the 1v1, but Hammy now trying to get the Roadie run off, doesn't quite get it. That's going to be straight into the reboot, but she ends up trading. Hammy goes down as well as Sibs, and that's 2 for 1 in favor of Tribe.
Yeah, and that was a great time for the side of Tribe to pick that fight. They've got T-Tigers with the ultimate. Sibs is just getting that now, or might have even gotten that halfway through the fight, and that's not going to be good enough for the side of Rogue. They didn't have enough of that damage, and it was a good timing spike for the side of Tribe to pick their fight. They got off significantly good damage. They're starting to get some of those major items in. Aftershock's there for T-Tigers. Dienzo's got that Sword Blade, and looks like he's working into some kind of attack speed item, possibly a breaking point. Or no, tornado triggers. What am I talking about? He's gonna be picking up at least one tornado triggers, maybe two. Maybe he likes the double tornado trigger over double Tyrant's Monocle. We will see. Emmy is in a similar vein, has his Sword Blade, so the damage is pretty even for these lane carries, but the immobility of the side of Rogue, just in terms of Hammy, and I mean Evol's mobility is okay. Ooh, one shot, one kill is used. Dienzio trying to set up a little bit of fear and let T-Tigers get in the flag, but I don't know how much Rogue should feel confident stepping up into this.
Yeah, you don't want to step up in T-Tigers, not as he's got his Aftershock, does find another prime directive in, and that will send Hammy below a third HP, so now they're going to have to be careful. Now, Tribe have got a mean bit of damage to turrets as well, as long as they can get those glimmer shots off from the Kestrel. Now, they're going to push into the side of Rogue's jungle now, however, so they have got priority jungle-wise, and they will be able to take some of these front camps away, but we got to remember, Rogue, they're very good at taking turrets, and they take turrets very quickly. Dienzio goes in with the active camo. There's another prime directive. Termination Protocol is going to get popped. He has to use the boost to get away for the time being. Still has that Roadie run if he chooses to use it. Crucible comes out from Evo to try and get the shielding, but it's already dead. Hammy is already gone, lost to the winds, and that'll be Sibs going down as well, with Evo not quite finding anybody. They trade 2 for 1 as Dienzio went down as well, but again, we'll leave a lot of time for Tribe in this lane.
As soon as that fight started, I was thinking in my mind, I should be starting to criticize Tribe about their lack of focus fire, but really it came down to Rogue's lack of focus fire. T-Tigers used the Termination Protocol fairly early, and then was sitting in that reboot mode, and Hammy couldn't get himself in position to be able to dish out the damage. There was too much pressure from Dienzio. Had he been able to sit there and shoot T-Tigers for maybe a couple more seconds, they probably would have killed him, and then that fight turns differently because T-Tigers is the one who turns around and brings down Sib with just one more burst of damage. So Hammy is that kind of stationary turret. Yes, he outputs the damage. He needs to be looking at the right target.
Oh man, T-Tiger's using that Prime Directive on cooldown at the moment, it seems. He's half HP, but Hammy hasn't got a lot of health back after T-Tigers gets on top of him, finds him again. Sibs has to use that trampoline away, but T-Tigers will follow up with a core charge. And that is again leaving Evo alone alive. Can't really do much but spin around right now. Rogue lose 2 members. And again, DNZO is going to be able to do a mean bit of work to this turret. This turret lead should be evened up now.
Yeah, and this is a dangerous point for the side of Rogue. You're at this mid-game where Alpha is devastatingly powerful. The burst is there. The defensive items for the carries aren't in yet. You only really have... Well, okay, so Sibs is starting to pick up some shielding because of the amount of damage that T-Tigers is dishing out. But, Evil might be in trouble. Is caught out. Merciless Pursuit doesn't manage to connect from Max Green, so... he'll walk away from that one. But it's a combination of really 2 things. Right now... there isn't enough defense on the side of Rogue to survive the damage coming out of T-Tigers, and their composition, lacks that instant engage, so they can't really fight back. They have to force Tribe to overextend. They've had a couple of moments where that's happened, but it's hard to make your opponent do that when you're playing with a Saw. If you had something that sieges well but is equally mobile, maybe something closer, well, maybe if that were a weapon pedal and you had, something different CP in the jungle, you can kind of use that weapon pedal to use that trampoline and back and kind of force people to go a little bit deeper. Saw doesn't have that capability. So Rogue right now need to find and set up a team fight where either they're catching out the members of Tribe in a bush or in a bad rotation, or they need to find some way to really force a siege.
Yeah, Evo is going to have to be very careful with his Bright Bulwark, because that is going to be the only thing stopping T-Tigers exactly just that. Proved my point entirely. Hammy is going to use that Roadie Run to start off the fight initially, but Dienzio is packing a mean punch. T-Tigers are going to go in as well with the Prime Directive. 1 shot, 1 kill comes out. This is going to hit Evo, so not too much damage done. And T-Tigers pops in the infinite reboot mode, but Dienzio wants revenge. Max Green tanking up that turret as well. Prime Directive over the wall doesn't quite connect from Evil, onto Evil rather. And now Dienzio and T-Tigers determined to just do a little bit more damage to those turrets. Dienzio actually going underneath the turret, in fact, is going to get slowed up by the spin-up, but it doesn't matter because T-Tigers finds a Prime Directive straight onto the core charger Hammy, leaving Evo wondering what happened to the rest of his team as Tribe take another turret.
That was a great bit of aggro jungling from the side of Tribe, and also good pressure from Dienzio. Even though that wasn't a big, massive team fight in terms of like all the abilities landing at once, Dienzio put so much pressure onto Hammy that when the reboot came in for T-Tigers, the only one hitting him is Sibs. Sibs does not have the attack speed to, output enough damage to bring down T-Tigers. Yes, he has a Shattered Glass. He's got a little bit more crystal power, is working towards that secondary item, probably a secondary Shattered Glass, but he didn't have any Munions because they'd all been cleared out. And he doesn't have the attack speed to just burst through what T-Tiger's health bar is. So Dienzio right now is putting so much pressure onto Evo and Hammy that it's just allowing T-Tigers to run free and be able to output significant damage and really just control the fights endlessly.
And we're only 10 minutes into the game as well, and if you look at the comps, you'd say this is a bit of an odd situation that Hammy's in. Especially as they've got so much turret-taking potential and their ability to control the lane with the saw. This is not where they want to be right now. Tribe are taking a more of an aggressive stance. This alpha pick that is being cropping up a lot more in NA, both NA and EU in fact, is now really starting to punish these compositions where they need to protect this one main carry, and Slaw being the very slow, very immobile turret-like monster he is. T-Tigers has taken that under his wing and said, hey, okay, I'm just going to kill you over and over again. He's 7-1 with 2 damage items, now starting to build a few more defensive tools as well. He's going to be almost unkillable in the next couple of minutes, in the next couple of fights.
Well, it's a difficult situation for Rogue. Their composition, yes, takes that first turret, and they got that first turret. And, engage from Evil.
Passage Way comes in. That's a big active camo stone right on top of Dienzio. They already annihilate the saw, but they are able to trade it 1-for-1, with Sibs actually picking up a kill with the spontaneous combustion. Now, Evil is trading with T-Tigers, and Max Green is going to be there as well. And that's going to be the best they can hope for now.
Okay, so a good counter back by Rogue to show some signs of life, but their composition still runs into an issue. Once you get past the first turret, it's difficult to set up safe sieges unless you can lay down a vision line. And Rogue was never given the opportunity to do that. T-Tigers was more than comfortable just continuing to endlessly engage. And Alpha, she's been out of meta, and we've said that it's a difficult hero to play against. It's because the timings are so strange. In the early game, you don't want to take that level 2 team fight because she's probably going to be able to get off the reboot, and you've now spent all of your cooldowns, you spent all of this time and effort probably trading a bunch of health bar to bring down a character who's about to come back with another health bar. It's a difficult time, so you don't want to fight her in the early game. Then once she kind of gets that first item online, gets that level 6 if she's in the jungle, she's going to have that before everybody else, and then again, it's a difficult time to be able to fight, and we saw Tribe abuse that timing spike and be able to find the optimal team fight before anybody on the side of Rogue had gotten those ultimates, those significant abilities that would allow them to at least combat back onto T-Tigers. You also have to think about the fact that you don't have the attack speed towards the early game to get through that health bar, and so you have to wait till those items come through. So, those are kind of the issues you run into playing around the alpha, and Tribe has done a great job of facilitating T-Tigers to get to those points in his damaging abilities before the side of Rogue is really set up and able to abuse them, despite Rogue getting the first turret.
Well, not only have they can they not get any vision down, they cannot defend their crystal sentries, and they can't even hope to defend or even contest the gold mine either. 2 gold miners have now gone over to Tribe, both of them almost full as well, so a massive boon of gold for them. They're sitting about 9,000 gold in the lead right now, and we got to kind of sit here, Source, and go, okay, what are Rogue actually going to feasibly able to do now? Hammy's got double monocle and he's got that Sorrow Blade. He's dealing a whole load of damage, but the problem is, time and time again, T-Tigers is finding a way into the fight, and finding the way into the fight he just did. Rival walk into the passageway, but DNZO sets another perfect empty camo stun up. T-Tigers goes into the infinite reboot, but no one can finish him off. Prime directive over the wall, finds Sibs, 1 shot, 1 kill, does not, but T-Tigers will be there to secure another kill for himself. And more kills for you, DNZO, unfortunately. Evo is going to use that Sigil to get the speed boost, but once again, everything falls apart around him, and he's left the only one alive.
That play was a good look from Rogue to get into the middle of the team fight, get Hammy into a position where he could do damage. The problem was it wasn't on top of one target, which is what Hammy probably wanted. He wanted to get it on one target, already be spun up, and just instantly blink in there and get off maybe 3 or 4 crits and something dead. He got T-Tigers very low, but couldn't finish him. DMZO had managed to kite him out, so he was dishing out damage, and again, putting that significant pressure onto the Saw. And, T-Tigers was putting pressure in the backline. Sibs got bursted to less than half health and had to instantly trampoline away, so there's no damage coming in there. There's also plenty of AoE to kill the Munions, and Sibs as well.
That's a lot of damage. 1 shot, 1 kill will hit Evil. Sibs is going to have to escape rather quickly. Only a couple bit of shielding, which he got, I think, around 5 to 6 minutes into the game. So he hasn't even upgraded that. He's actually prioritized more damage over the defensive items, which right now they do need damage to kill T-Tigers and DNZO. But like you said before, Optim straight into the infinite reboot, and it's very hard to do that. Another perfectly active camo trap set up by DNZO after that passageway. Sibs is sent very low. Max Green is going to pull those wall treads to send everybody flying. Hammy just trying to kite back, but he does take a prime directed to the face, and that means T-Tiger sticking to him like glue. He finds the kill in the end, and Sibs running away, but DNZO will find the last shot. And once more, that Kraken is now on the board. 15 minutes on the clock. Tribe might finally find the ace they were looking for. DNZO with the double, and now they're going to say the Kraken.
Very clean play by Tribe to just constantly be able to kite out the members of Rogue. And Rogue are looking for fights, and you have to give them credit for that. They're not giving up, and they're not playing super passive and sort of letting Tribe run over them. The problem that they're running into, though, is that they're taking really obvious fights. Anytime you see the arcane patches come down, if you have any kind of great AoE or targetable stun, so instantly active camo from DNZO, he gets off the value stun. Like, you have to make those arcane passage combos. They have to come in from different angles. You need to be coming over a wall. You need to be coming from out of vision. If you make these plays in vision, yes, it's pretty much a 50-50 if you're going to land it. Things like a From Hell's Heart from very, very close. Things like a Gauntlet from in vision when you're fighting the enemy team in the lane. If you know that these combos are coming, it's much easier for teams like Tribe, who are very skilled and just haven't been able to crack that consistent level of beating the top teams repeatedly. They're gonna see it coming, and they're going to be able to punish you for it, and that's what Tribe has pretty much done over and over. Rogue are putting up a good fight, it's just not enough.
There's the passageway again. The blast terror will rain through from Max Green, but look at Hammy already stunned up as soon as he entered the passageway. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. I don't know how many other times you can go through that one, Source, because only the first two. Yeah, Evo's going to find himself in 1v1 versus DNZO. Meanwhile, though, his base is just getting wrecked. That's going to be an ace for Tribe to finish off game number 1 as they take the advantage with Rogue going back to the drawing board. They got the Wizard, but he can't quite find the answer in his crystal ball.
Yeah, and in the middle of this game, we saw instant adaptability from the side of Tribe. We said fool me once, that's the time they got that kill on Dienzio when they managed to get that portal in, and it was a 1-for-1 trade. Every other time that Rogue attempted that play, Tribe was ready and waiting and instantly was able to punish Hammy anytime he came through the portal. Same with Sibs. It was a difficult time for Rogue. Maybe their next draft will give them a little bit more variability in how they can approach